Today is Thursday, March 10th, 2022. I'm out in Alburtis, Pennsylvania on the NS Reading Line. We're a little ways west of Macungie, and we're here to catch some NS action today. Usually mid-morning to early afternoon tends to be kind of busy. Get a couple of local trains going through. We're looking east toward Macungie, and that track going off to the left is the CNF secondary. That's served by the local. In a local gas station, you see a sign of the times. But not to worry, the prices will come down eventually. They always do. Fortunately, I have a fuel-efficient car. I can drive about 150 miles on 4 gallons of gas. It's about 20 bucks. Try riding on Amtrak 150 miles for 20 bucks. Looking west, you see the home signals for CP Alburtis. Both red. Alburtis has a nice nostalgic charm to it. A lot of these towns in Pennsylvania have this charming look. Bit of antiquity. Indeed, I've always found Pennsylvania to be a rather homey state. I always enjoyed here. Pennsylvania's a great, wonderful state, and I feel right at home whenever I'm here. Well, further west is the eastbound home signal to Alburtis Interlocking. I've been to this town like 20, 30 years ago. In this area, was nothing but farmland, cornfields. Look at all this commercialism sprouting up, and these are huge places. Pennsylvania, I love it, but a lot of the rural charm of it is gradually disappearing. And those signals are red also. But I should definitely see some trains. I heard 20K from Chicago to Croxton should have the Norfolk and Western Heritage unit in the trailing line. Looking east, you can see the interlocking very well here. And like my last visit here last April, there's a huge cut of cars on the siding here. The locals should be picking those up later. Westbound at 10:55. It's a local. It could be the H44 from Allentown to Abrams. Had 2 SD60E brow beaters, the ugliest EMD locomotives running these days. Should see the H68 hopefully. He usually has some older power. That local, whatever it is, H44 or H68, is working down where that cut of cars are to my west. But the switch is open at CP Alburtis. Might have a westbound that's going to be crossing over from 1 to 2. You can see that local is backing up onto the siding. I don't know what he's going to do. Pick up the cars? Is he going to drop off some cars on the CNF secondary? I'm not sure. Here at CP Alburtis, you get a real good look at what a switch heater looks like. There's a dog kennel nearby. I think that's quite obvious. Well, the local's backing up to cross over this railroad crossing to get on the CNF possibly, but he can't because a westbound train is approaching, occupying the track he's going to be using. 11:34, we got a westbound train of marine containers. It's going to be switching over to my nearest track here. See a lot of colorful containers on this. Loads of marine containers on them. Lots of Costco from China. That might have been 23M out of E-Rail to Chicago. Got an ES44AC and a C44-9W. All right, track is clear for him to back up onto the branch. Wyatt, what symbol are you?
Here?
Yeah, H what?
H11.
H11, okay, thanks. Never heard of that one. Yeah, he's going up on the CNF secondary. I don't know how far he's going. Last time I was here a year ago, I was waiting at a crossing of several miles down the line and he never showed up. He didn't get that far, so I'm staying put. Westbound 1153, I think this is 11N. Doremus Avenue to Sterling Heights, Michigan. Water racks. what you call a one-unit wonder, powered by a single AC44 C6M. Those are the converted C44-9Ws from DC to AC. 1203, we have another westbound, and he's got trailers. That means only one thing: the hot potato, NS21M, Croxton to Chicago, one of the hottest trains on the railroad. Stuff, UPS and other high priority trailer traffic in some containers. The trailing unit on that was one of those 1800 class SD70 ACCs. I'll tell you, next to horns, I love rail joints. Here comes the power off of H11. He dropped his cars off on the branch. And it looks like he's going to be coupling to the rear of the cut of cars that's to the west of me. And he'll take those east. $69.23 sounds like it's dead. Now H11 is going to head east back to Allentown, but before he can do that, since he's on the siding, he has to pull east. Then he has to back up onto the main track because the switch is in reverse. It's not facing him off of the siding. So we should see the power go back and forth here a couple of times. These SD60Es, you'll note they have the rather unusual cab, which I nickname these brow beaters because of the obvious brow above the window. Not the prettiest locomotives that NS designed, but they are AMDs, and that's worth something. I'm told the cabs have pretty good crash protection. He's backing up. What gives? Maybe he's going to back up onto the main and then head east, as opposed to doing a lot of reverse moves. And finally, at 1:10 p.m., the H11 local is heading east towards Allentown. He had one engine shut down. Now, to save fuel. Can't emphasize that too strongly these days. And a 135 approaching is a highly coveted train, 20K, Chicago to Croxton. He'll have the N&W Heritage Unit trailing. He's moving. That's one of the hottest trains on the railroad. There's a lot of UPS, and you saw the N&W Heritage Unit with that dark blue paint scheme. First time I've ever seen that Heritage Unit. Well, we'll hang around on the NS Reading Line for a little while longer. Had to go here. This is Mertztown, Pennsylvania. You're looking at the old station that was built in 1875. It's owned by the Long Swamp Historical Society from Long Swamp Township nearby. They acquired the building in 2019. It's quite a gem. This area along the Norfolk Southern's Reading Line from Allentown to Reading is very quaint, pastoral. I should explore this line in more detail. bet my car would squeeze underneath that thing pretty easily. And at 2 o'clock, we have an eastbound approaching at Mertztown. And that was a pretty reliable train. It appears every day. That was 62V out of Mingo Junction, Ohio to Oak Island, New Jersey. Empty trash train. Well, probably the main reason why I came out here today, of course, it's always nice to do some rail buffing, but I've heard about this place up in Nazareth near Easton. Supposedly a great hobby shop. Rail fans all over have been raving about the place, saying it's awesome. I'm gonna go inside and see if they are correct. As I walk into the store, I see Lionel trains all over the place. And look what's behind this counter. Man, look at all these steam engines. Wow.
Yeah, I think that sounds like him.
I see looks like a Reading T1 in there with the yellow handrails. Look at this. There's big stuff up there. Looks like a 210-4 for the Penzi right there. A Union Pacific 800 class in the passenger paint scheme.
Go ahead. Not yet.
Southern Railway in green. There's a Challenger, UP Challenger in the passenger paint scheme. Oh man, these aren't cheap. Oh boy, what a collection of steam. Well, these aren't HO. Up there I see Lackawanna MUs, GG1s, and all kinds of paint schemes.
But she keeps moving her car farther and farther out.
Some stuff that the Penzi never had there. It's a Milwaukee Road engine. This whole Lionel stuff.
Absolutely.
UP gas turbine. Some Penzi PAs over there.
Right.
New York Central Lightning Stripes. Erie Lackawanna.
Yep.
CN stuff up there. FPA 4s, I rode behind many of those.
Yeah. I think was it the type of dog. Yeah.
What is that? A New York Central SD80 Mac? Come on, let's get with it with the authenticity, guys. UP Desert Storm engine.
And she did wave to me this morning.
Any of you people get a big income tax refund? This might be a good place to spend it if you're into trains. New Jersey Transit.
Alrighty. If that's what you want to do.
Makes Willis Hobbies look like a 5 and dime store. A lot of railroad books too, man, oh man. Looks like a much larger version of my bookcase. This is where French Onion Soup does his grocery shopping. Oh man.
What time?
He wasn't kidding. And I've barely scratched the surface in this place. I haven't seen these since I was a kid. American Flyer trains, wow.
This sort of ties in with what we're doing here.
It's what they used to call the old Long Island Railroad coaches they got from the B&M, the hand-me-downs. Built by Osgood Bradley, they call them American Flyer cars. Man.
Okay, everybody get to work. Hello.
American Flyer everywhere. Man, oh man. All these Rail King electric trains. I mean, I don't know much about these, but I've heard of it. K-line electric trains. Jesus. The only thing I've ever heard about with K-line is those big red containers that they haul out of Long Beach, California on the Union Pacific and ultimately the NS going into New Jersey. That's it. Of course, there was a baseball player named Al K-line, but that was spelled differently. Control switches. Now here's the HO stuff. Forgive the reflectivity of the window, but they even have some of the old red subway cars. Look at that. Unbelievable. Here's some NS Heritage units, the Virginian, the Lackawanna. Don't know what that one is. That's the CSX 911, first responder. That's the George Bush that the UP ran. ST-70 ACE. GP35. GP35 is something that ran around this area years ago. Lehigh Valley PAs. That was the best paint scheme of the GG1, the Tuscan Red. Doesn't matter whether it's the pinstripes or the solid stripe livery, they both look good. Of course, this one looked good too. Now this thing, the Union Pacific, Spirit of the Union Pacific. This is a highly coveted model. It's been running around all over the country, but unfortunately I missed it. But if I was going to get into modeling, I'm not into modeling, but I'd like to get into modeling, you know, just to run trains and maybe collect a couple of engines. This would definitely be the one that I would want to get, being a big Union Pacific fan. These are about $200 and something. Look at this, UP ST-70 Ace, some Heritage units, Monongahela Southern Railway, Central of Georgia. And this one I actually saw today, the N&W engine. Lehigh Valley. Penn Central is the Erie. There's the Wabash, the Interstate, the old Norfolk Southern in the orange there, Pennsylvania Railroad, nickel plate, and there's a Canadian National GE, CP. That's, looks like Florida East Coast, they colored them like that. KCS, one of the 20 SD70 ACEs that CSX has. And these other classics. I haven't seen all 20 of the heritage units, but if you want to see them in miniature, all of them, this is the place to go. Here's another Virginian, Savannah, Atlanta, Wabash, Norfolk Southern SD60Ms. They got a few of them from the BNSF. I don't think they run them anymore. These are a little cheaper than the other ones. They were all in the 170 to 200 and something dollar range. This is my least favorite heritage unit, but I actually got it at Piscataway once. Norfolk Southern, I've gotten that one. Nickel plate I haven't seen. Conrail I haven't seen. Central of Georgia I've seen. Southern I've seen. I haven't seen the Erie or the New York Central. No, I did see the New York Central in Sinking Spring around Christmas. I saw the Wabash and I saw the CNJ at Piscataway. Wabash I saw in Pennsylvania. I don't know, are these N-gauge? It's Pittsburgh and Lake Erie, I think. Yeah. BNSF scheme, that's my favorite paint scheme on the BNSF. And the Rock Island. Here's a dandy, an Erie Lackawanna GP35. Engineers on the Erie Lackawanna said that they were probably the best engines that they ran. These are Atherns, Seaboard Coastline, Family Lines, Guilford, Erie Lackawanna SD45, yeah. CN, I guess that's an SD70M-2 or an Ace, BNSF Ace. I remember those SP schemes. George Bush. This engine, the 3329, is painted up from Maersk. That's a Danish container ship company. Montana Rail Link. And another. The N&W was famous for high-hooded locomotives. EMD demonstrators. This is one of the newer engines that are running around. Powered for the people. SD70 ACEs or AHs. Spirit of the UP. Looks like a demo. Lehigh Valley C420. I don't know if that's a GP9 or an SD9. Looks like an SD40-2W on CN. Pan Am Railways. Chassis. Chassis was a great paint scheme. And these engines stomped around this area, Lehigh Valley F units.
So now if we have any questions on writing scheme, we can call that up.
Neat stuff here.
Reference library. So we have C and J.
I don't think the Flying Yankee would buy these.
Yep.
How long you guys been here?
The hobby shop has existed since '82.
Oh boy.
Here, definitely from the 90s.
Wow. I've been around a while. How come I never heard of this place? Jeez.
Because the owner doesn't advertise.
Ah.
It's a shame.
It is. I have to rely on my buff friends to tell me about these places. Man, you name it, it's here. There's an old Penzi P5. Broadway Limited stuff, this is. Silver. It's a shame they don't advertise. If they did, these shelves would be empty in no time. Man. So much here. There's the, in that box is a Amtrak 642, the Veterans Unit. What's the price tag on that? Marked down to $322. Oh, looks like a Charger. $419. Oh. I covered that one. The Union Pacific DDA 40X, the most powerful diesel locomotive in the world. Is an N&W Class J, the 610, not the 611. But they had, I think, 14 of them. They were beautiful engines. I was lucky to get to see the 611 running. Well, there's a SEPTA ACS 64, and there's a couple of Amtrak ones. $322.99. Heritage units all over the place. There's an Irlac one at GP7. They use them in passenger service, but they use them in freight also. Some more Lackawanna, Lehigh Valley over here. There's a Union Pacific Dash 8, Delaware Hudson. The CB&Q, Burlington Route, Chinese Red, Santa Fe Dash 840V. And that's a KCS Cheap 38-2, I think. The AAM7. Now these are Long Island Railroad C420s. The one on the right is the modified scheme that was adopted in the late 70s. And these two on the left are 212, the two 212s. That's the New York State colors. They started painting those in the 60s.
And the headlights in the middle.
Damn. Model Railroad Heaven. Look at all these train videos. No, some friends of mine in Jersey were telling me, oh, you should go to Trains and Lanes. And he says, is it a good store? I says, oh my God, you won't believe your ears. I think they were right.
Yeah, pretty much any hobby you can think of, we have stuff
Yeah.
there.
I like that stock car track you have out there. Whatever they. I mean, if you advertise this place, your shelves will be empty in no time, maybe. These some of the friends that I know.
Yeah.
Big model freaks.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, I don't plan on leaving here empty-handed, so
Oh, that don't matter. We get a lot of people who just come to look.
I can see why. Definitely worth looking.
6, 2, 8,
Oh, this is the N-gauge stuff.
so reasonable time.
Yeah.
First responders is a GG1, smallest GG1 I ever saw.
Yeah, we haven't really talked club for a few weeks.
ECS 64.
There's always been a bunch of stuff going on.
I'm not sure. I think it's around $300 and some dollars.
$300 something. This is a Z scale GG1, so that wasn't the smallest GG1 I ever saw. And, yeah, I remember that scheme. Bicentennial 4800. Wow.
Decent.
Videos.
Just the usual.
These are John Petrulis videos. Every one you can think of is here, and he made a lot of them. Yeah, a lot of engaged freight cars.
I learned my lesson one time. I bought her a brand new, the car that I drive now, I bought it for her birthday. I just went to bought it. And she, the payments, $497.
Unbelievable. Yeah, lots of freight cars here. They're at $18 a piece. Engage. It's not just engines and cars. They have trucks, switches, switch machines, passenger car trucks, freight car trucks. Oh, have I ever seen one of those before? New Jersey Transit's going to get these as EMUs before long. A lot of engaged passenger cars here.
When you're on a first name basis and your dad's on a first name basis with the
Pennsylvania Railroad car there. These are unbelievable. There's some AM fleet cars here. You name it, they got it. This store has got everything for the serious modeler and the serious rail fan. There's a Bachmann Acela Express set. It's old Bachmann stuff over here. Well, I know where to shop if I want to build a little model railroad under my Christmas tree. Saul Bachman. Unbelievable. So Engage. This is like a whole set. They have any Union Pacific stuff here? I don't see any. Look at the size of that thing. Santa Fe Lionel U-28 CG freight set. Oh boy. Major League Baseball. A lot of silver bill locomotives. Let's see, we got this one. This is the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy scheme. Very attractive Chinese red paint scheme. I think that looks like a GP20. What is that? ST24. There's some Union Pacific. GP15-1, Walters train line. Let's look at some of this stuff. Canadian Pacific. What is that? GP15-1. I don't think they ever had any. That's not authentic. Let's see. Now this railroad had GP15s, Conrail. Noisy engines. They made a lot of noise when they revved up with their non-turbocharged engine. They sound like they had 10,000 horsepower. Let's see. Flying Yankee, I'll buy you this for Christmas. But I better duck when you throw it back at me. Oh boy, that's some good stuff in here, man. A-okay. Passenger cars galore. Any more engines? Oh, I like this one. Santa Fe GP9M. That was a very attractive paint scheme. Compared to the war bonnet, it was distant second, but still it was pretty. Here's a GP9M painted in war bonnet colors. I don't think they ever did that. That's not authentic. I like authenticity. Oh man. Let's see. Here's something. A Reading GP39-2. I think they had those. This is a, what is this? U.S. Department of Transportation. Let's see the Union Pacific here. Oh, let's see, here's one.
I remember that. I go, I'm not kidding you. I just see that big right here. They had a new big one. Yeah, really, just one.
I'm just looking here. Oh, here's an engine that Sauerkraut would love to have if he had a layout. I don't think he does. Could be wrong though. This is a GP9M. I don't think they had GP9Ms. They had GP9s like crazy, but not GP9Ms. What the paint scheme was, I consider the most attractive of all. Yeah, some of these models are nice, but they're not authentic enough. Yeah, here's where we can get the track. Lots of track. Cato track. I heard that's really good track for mile railroads. You name it, they got it all here. Straight track switches. Oh, this is something else. I don't know what to say about this place. There's not enough adjectives. Let's see. Track sections, linkages. There's more. This is Atlas. I grew up with Atlas. Oh man, unbelievable. Ain't just trains, they got a huge slot car racing track here. Several of them. Look at that. The ultimate hobby shop. Here's an Atlas turntable. I remember having one of those when I was a kid. Switch machines. Deck bridge kits. Long Island has a couple of hobby shops. Willis Hobbies. And then there's Trainland in Lynbrook. Made famous in The Sopranos. I don't want to divulge that episode, but it does appear in one of the others. And these are little props for the layout. People, animals. It goes on and on.
I got you.
Telephone poles. Telephone poles really made a lot of personality on the railroad. Too bad they're disappearing. Unbelievable, awesome store. You got quite a store here, sir.
I'll let the owner know.
Yeah. I'm sure he's heard it at Google Times already.
Probably.
I didn't know about it. I mean, I've been around Long Island for years.
We're here for a long time, for 25 years.
Yeah, so I heard.